1 year ago today, Joe Biden took the oath of office as President of the United States. And we're here to tell you that after 1 year, and you take a look at that year, it has been a year of failure on item after item after item after item.
Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility.
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Joe Biden's swearing in and the 1-year anniversary of one-party far-left Democrat rule in Washington. And the results are clear. America has faced a year of unprecedented crisis. The American people are facing an economic crisis, an energy crisis, a border crisis, an education crisis, a crime crisis, a worsening COVID-19 crisis, and a national security crisis. These crises are a direct result of the failed leadership and the far-left socialist agenda of Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. In Biden's economic crisis, wages have decreased 8 out of the 11 months since he took office, and inflation has skyrocketed, with 2021 being the worst year for inflation since 1981. Democrats have also enacted an anti-energy agenda that has caused energy prices to skyrocket, raising the national average for a gallon of gas to the highest price since 2014. Failing to deliver on his promise to reopen schools in his first 100 days, Joe Biden and his administration are leaving kids behind. Joe Biden also promised to shut down the virus.
We need a president who's going to bring us together, not pull us apart. I'll put in place a plan to deal with this pandemic responsibly. I've already done it. I've said it before. I'm not going to shut down the country, but I'm going to shut down the virus.
House Democrats once again failed, and Americans are struggling to find tests as the pandemic worsens. This month, the U.S. broke the record for the most COVID hospitalizations at over 132,000, and more Americans died from COVID-19 in 2021 than 2020. Following a year of defunding the police rhetoric from President Biden and congressional Democrats, we saw a crime crisis in over a dozen major U.S. cities, seeing record high homicide rates in 2021.
2021 on pace to be America's deadliest year of gun violence in the last 2 decades.
Gun violence has driven a rise in violent crime across the country. At the same time, police have been under unprecedented pressure to reform.
I think it's extremely important to understand that these failures, they didn't just happen. These failures are the direct result of Biden administration policies and Democrat governance.
The best way to describe President Biden's first year in office is one self-inflicted crisis and disaster after another.
We are now at a 40-year high of inflation in the United States.
If you look at what is affecting our American family, you know, the kitchen table politics all across this country, inflation is the highest it has been in 40 years.
We go into the grocery stores in America, and you wonder where you are because there's nothing there to buy. Ships are still waiting on the outskirts of California. But an interesting question that the president asked yesterday. He asked, what are Republicans for?
Think about this. What are Republicans for? What are they for? Name me one thing they're for.
We're for food on the shelves. We're for America independence and energy, lowering the gas price so it doesn't harm us. We're for stopping runaway spending so we don't create inflation like they have. We're for a secure border.
You look just at the first 3 months, October, November, and December, the traditionally slowest months on the border. Last year's numbers pale in comparison to what we're seeing this year alone in the first 3 months, more than 500,000 apprehensions.
It's disgusting. I've said it many times. Under President Trump was a game changer. He gave us the most secure border I've seen in my entire career. Illegal immigration down 83%. This president is the first president in history of my life, in the history of this nation, that came into office and intentionally and purposely unsecured the border, which has caused death, which has caused fentanyl, which caused 100,000 deaths, which has caused known and suspected terrorists across the border.
But I cannot imagine, based upon the president's own decisions on what he did in Afghanistan, to look the American public in the eye and, I quote, I make no apologies for what I did.
I make no apologies for what I did. I have a great concern for the women and men who were blown up on the line at the airport by a terrorist attack.
He promised American people he would not leave till all Americans were out.
We're going to do everything in our power to get all Americans out and our allies out.
And are you committed to making sure that the troops stay until every American who wants to be out is out?
Yes. If there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out. The first thing I would do as President of the United States of America is to make sure that we brought all combat troops home, entered into a negotiation with the Taliban, but I would leave behind special forces in small numbers to be able to deal with a potential threat unless we got a real good negotiation accomplished to deal with terrorism. That's been my position from the beginning.
I opposed the surge in the first place, number one. I didn't think we should have even the troops we sent there. Number, it's all been made public now, that we should have the troops we, in the first place, that were sent there. That's why with 49 of our allies in Afghanistan, we've agreed on a gradual drawdown, so we're out of there by the year 2014.
That's been my position from the beginning.
But we are leaving. We are leaving in 2014, period.
That's been my position from the beginning.
The facts make one thing very clear. We have a great deal of work left to do in Afghanistan and a continued obligation to the men sitting in front of us to allow them to be able to do the work that needs to be done. I think we should give President Karzai and his folks the resources necessary to get this country back on its feet. But no amount of aid will achieve that goal without security. Mr. President, we're going to try to help you more than you may even want, or you may be willing to say right here, because we need you badly to succeed.
That's been my position from the beginning.
You do think there should be some U.S. presence that remains in
Afghanistan? Yes, a very small
Afghanistan.
presence to be able to determine whether or not, I mean a small footprint.
What does that look like?
It looks like several thousand people.
That's been my position from the beginning.
Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility.
President Biden's call to the former Afghan president is an impeachable offense. And well before this, Republicans actually have called for Biden's impeachment or resignation. Our running count stands at about 50 different lawmakers, in fact, who have joined in this chorus.
Virtually every single thing that has been said about this situation has been untrue, partly untrue, manufactured, and this is why there's a legitimacy problem. Why there aren't more than 25 signatories on that letter or 50 lawmakers who think he should be impeached or resign. Why isn't it more? Why don't they want Kamala Harris to be president? It's not as though they would lose the White House. This is an outrageous situation. It is nonpartisan. A supermajority of Americans agree that this is a problem and that they don't trust what's happening. So I'm concerned about Congress and its wavering, the Republican Party's seemingly ambivalence about this. That should trouble Americans as well.